Hope you all enjoyed the Balabhavan by Rasya Ramesh and the fantastic curated programming presented by our own Sruti. The concert to follow is also by Shruti's own Akshara Samskriti. If there's one person whose heart would swell with joy watching the talent of our youngsters bloom, it would be our dear Sharada. T Sarada and her brother T Parashuran were an integral part of and constant fixture at Shruti for many decades. Both of them contributed to the board, the publications and various other activities. It's with a deep sense of gratitude that I acknowledge the generosity of Sharada's gift that enabled today. So it gives me the greatest pleasure to welcome Sharada's nephew and his wife, Mrs. Jayashree and Dr. Shivakumar Raman. Dr. Raman is a professor of industrial and systems engineering at the University of Oklahoma. Thank you very much, Jayashree and Dr. Raman, for being here with us today. I welcome Dr. Raman to say a few words about his dear aunt, T Sarada. Thank you. And just one more quick thing. The bake sale, thanks to all of you, did $150 in sales. Dr. Raman, over to you.
Of course, whenever you're on the mic, right? And when you're on stage, the spotlight is on your face and you can't see the audience, which is okay. You're used to it by now. So, first of all, I'd like to say this is amazing today. The choreography of one of my favorite dancers, from that school, from that body, Chitra Visweswaran body, and the song that we absolutely used to love, her husband used to sing. Visweswaran used to sing the song in Chalakesi, Padavaru. So it was like amazing that was the main piece today in the morning. And then after that, the whole show put by the Shruti youth group was beyond phenomenal. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, the amount of knowledge that the youngsters showed, and some of them were able to hit the song. Like on cue, while they were talking in the middle, they were just hitting the song. I mean, and I know that they are students of Kirana and maybe Lisa. So I don't doubt the scholarship, but it was just amazing to me to see young children do so well. Anyway, so now I'm Shivakumar, like she said. Shiva is what I go by. I'm the nephew of Dr. T Sarada and Dr. Prasaran. And that trumps any other introduction of mine, although many thanks to Raji for her entirely flattering words for my description. First of all, I want to applaud Raji and the Shruti team for organizing this fabulous function and felicitating Sarada and Parasaran. I personally thank you all for felicitating my late uncle and aunt's memories. And Raji asked me to say a few words. So one mistake she made was giving college professors the podium and a mic. It's a grave mistake, and it could be dangerous for all of you, and you're going to find that out. So history is important. So that's where I'm going to begin, right? History is important. History always establishes. You have to have a sense of history in order to progress forward, right? And history is also often written by people who the last person standing. So we read a lot more revisionist history than real history about people. So I've tried to kind of keep it as objective from my own words or my own thoughts and what I've seen, right? So a sense of history is what I go by based on their backgrounds, the paths that they have kind of paved for us, and so that the examples that they left by. No talk about Dr. T Sarada, Dr. T Parasaran, and even for that matter, Dr. T Chandrasekhar, their older brother, would be complete without talking about their illustrious family. The T stands for Tyagarajan, who was a MALT school teacher. They used to teach everything from 1st grade to 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And they were a traveling school. They were very poor. They used to teach poor kids every subject, and the whole family used to teach. And he was the headmaster. His wife Ranganayaki Ammal she lived in this town for like several years. She passed in 2013. She was a very big, strong presence for the children. They have four daughters and 2 sons, all highly educated. Now the interesting thing about the family was that all the family members, they have lived in Tiruvallur, Tanjavur, Mayapuram, Sivagasi, and they basically ran a school on wheels. They used to go and teach whoever could not afford education. And they were not very affluent by themselves. They were a pretty poor family, and their whole thing was devoted to education and promotion of arts. So these people cared about education, music, literature, famous people, charity, and everything in between. They didn't believe in these. They defined their lives by these. They provided food and education to so many, not just friends and relatives, but also to so many they knew nothing about or did not know at all. The siblings, my mother, Shivakumar Raman, she was an MA in economics from Annamalai University, and she retired as a RBI director of RBI. And Dr. T Sarada Memorial I mentioned earlier, is a physics lecturer at Berhampur, first began like that, PhD from University of Maryland, and worked for Bechtel and then also Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And he is a very interesting character in Sarada's life, because he and Sarada used to have Mahabharata Yuddhas in the living room, and both of them used to argue all the time ad nauseam. Now, the younger children were Parasaran, Gargi, and Bhavatarani. If you see the names Parasaran, Gargi, Bhavatarani, Maitreyi, these are all not very unique names. These are all not very common names. They are pretty unique. And mostly Rishipatnis, Rishis, and from various other, they used to get all these names. And they used to be very fond of these kind of things. Now Sarada, she is a PhD from American University, and she worked on liquid crystals. And at the cusp of physical chemistry and inorganic chemistry, she did a little bit of work, which Akaraji Sharma, if he was here, he would tell you that she worked with both American University, Columbia University, and MIT, all 3 institutions. And she basically developed her work, went and taught in Padmavati College in Tirupati. And then with a trio of people, and I would like to say their names, all of them were single, Sarada, Ranganayaki, and Saraswati. Saras and Ranga were her best friends, and they all got felicitated the year Parasaran passed away in Bombay. So it was like a very big thing in Padmavati College. She also worked here in Celanese, got several publications and patents. Then she got her, then she moved on to Pitney Bowes, where she retired from, and she went all the way to a level of a vice president. Parasaran was much simpler human being. If you know Parasaran, very quiet man, normally, got his PhD at University of Pennsylvania in organic chemistry. And at University of Pennsylvania, he worked with Charles Price, who was a Nobel finalist, and amazing chemist, my uncle Parasaran. And then from there, he went and he worked in Rochester on a postdoctoral position, then went to Glaxo Laboratories for about 9 years in India, and then came back here to work for Polysciences for another one of Charles Price's students, Mr. Harper, Dr. Harper. And so he lived in Washington, Pennsylvania for a little over 40 years. So they all are great teachers. While at University of Pennsylvania, since he was a Fulbright scholar, his salary was also subsidized teaching Tamil literature. So he taught Kambaramayana, he taught Pasurams, and then they were very fond of both Parasaran, Sarada, and my party. Everybody was very fond of Alvars as well as Nayanmars. So they used to really feel that they want to promote whatever was done by those people, and she was very fond of the Divya Prabandhams. And so the one thing about their family is that they were all extremely close-knit. They all used to love each other so much. So when my mom first came here for International Monetary Fund, she sponsored Parasaran first. Then Parasaran sponsored Chandrasekharan, and Chandrasekharan sponsored Sarada. And so everybody, one after the other, they all came here. to the US, and they all kind of helped each other. And then they brought Gargi, their younger sister. So Bhautarni was the only one that stayed back in India. Now these people had, like, between them, all of them were at least a master's or a PhD. So it was kind of great for them. Now, entire family had a quest for knowledge, whatever that knowledge was, and they were voracious readers. And so, you know, they cared a lot about Ramakrishna mission. They left a lot of their fortune, a lot of their, on their will, they gave a lot of funding to all the three Ramakrishna missions, three separate Ramakrishna missions in India, and also 2 Sarada Memorial missions. They were very fond of Ramakrishna's preachings and Vivekananda's famous works and teachings. Classic literary works of, like, English literature, Shakespeare, they used to actually enact plays in the house. Shakespeare, Duma, Alexander Duma, Count of Monte Cristo was their favorite. Charles Dickens' Tale of Two Cities used to get recited in the house all the time. My uncle would just go around walking 2 pages of the beginning of, that is, Chandrasekharan would go talk about 2 pages of the beginning of Tale of Two Cities and also the end paragraphs of Tale of Two Cities. Everybody was fond of Jane Austen, So this was like a family which was kind of pretty rather unique. Very idealistic family. They used to also write epic literature, Gita, Bharatam, Ramayana, Alvars, Naimars, all that happened for them. They had obsessive levels of certain convictions about vegetarianism. They used to love cooking. All 6 of them had obsessive. Now they're all gone. So they were all extremely good at cooking, and we used to argue about cooking ad nauseam too. They prayed, they had their own prayers and they had to do a certain duty to God that they felt like. And freedom leaders like Gandhi was very important to them. So they lived in pre-independence India. In fact, many of them were born from the 20s to the 30s. They were family associated with Muslim Subramania, and there used to be a lot of debates about MMI versus SSI. Like, anybody guess? We were all doing the Semmakudi Srinivasa Iyer versus Madurai Mani Iyer. So my dad's family, they were all very big Semmakudi fans, and my mom's family was full of Madurai Mani Iyer fans. So it used to argue, those arguments used to happen too. The Lalgudi versus T Krishnan was another argument, So this kind of things used to happen on a living in the proximity of Tiruvayur, they were inundated with all this Carnatic music. So that's where they came into the Carnatic music part of it. And then they were enamored of being around teaching children, which is kind of why this is so special this evening, and cultivating young minds. She cared about Bharatiya temple a lot, and all of you know that, and Sruti, and she used to keep saying that I'm writing an article for Sruti, can you help me, what the equivalencies of this raga? Because I always used to like Hindustani ragas, and I used to do a lot of research on it. So she always wanted the translations, because she said, I don't know if you know Sarada. She's a very spunky, fiery woman. She would always tell you that you don't know anything, right? But amazing woman. And then they loved Vidyasankar, Kirana's husband, and his knowledge. And Kiranavali, he used to deeply admire Kiranavali. They used to talk about Kiranavali a lot. So it is so fitting that her name is brought to some recognition on the occasion of the convergence of all of the aforementioned people and places. It's a confluence of music, confluence of dance, confluence of Kiranavali and her daughter. And it's amazing stuff that we are able to do this today. There will be, and one thing I would like to, on a closing note, I would like to talk about my Parasaram and Sarada. They will be remembered by the people as people or what they stood for, rather than any physical attribute or personal accolade. They did not like that at all. Education, arts, and devotion were their passion. That will be their legacy. It's been a fabulous afternoon so far of great performances. Let us enjoy Akshara's music. From somewhere up there, they are watching and enjoying every bit of this. Thank you so much.